Hello, folks. It is I, Noob Mister, a very, very tired and suffering from headache, Noob Mister. I don't know why. I got plenty of sleep last night, but dem's the things, ain't they? And I'm being joined by a Mike Set, who I'm assuming did get plenty of sleep last night.
Yeah, kind of.
Kind of. Why? What time did you go to bed then?
Oh, the time I was able to after the D&D session.
Oh yes, that was right. I completely forgot that that was technically last night for you.
I still will never forget how I lightened up everyone and made everyone laugh out of character when I brought up the whole Despacito thing.
I will not play you Despacito.
Yeah, since you were so focused on them bloody tits, how about this? Because of that, I am not gonna play Despacito for you. You see here, Keith. You dare break that. No, I am not gonna do it. No.
And as I said, so I guess the saying's true. Boobs do ruin friendships.
Yep, that's exactly what he said.
Oh, that was just a moment that was just, that just happened.
I hadn't forgotten about since he brought it up. Again, when I had instruments and I was going to play a song, I had felt coming to request a song, and considering what we heard him sing before, I had a feeling it was going to be something meme-worthy like that, and it was.
I only really know that I actually looked it up, and as far as I'm aware, it's a Justin Bieber thing. So
Adapted from one that was originally Mexican, I believe you said it was.
Something like that, or Sacrius or Die said it was Mexican. I don't know. I'm not sure on the actual origins of the song, to be perfectly honest. Only that I know that Justin Bieber did a thing of it. So apparently that's enough to make it meme worthy.
I hope to never listen to it because Just in Case is better than Justin Bieber.
Mm-hmm.
Well, just in case I lose myself to this, how about we change the subject?
Yes. I understand that from last podcast you had another topic that you wanted to talk about but didn't have time to because we got massively
DVD with the upcoming Ghostface. After Ghostface though was released on the PTB, I didn't get time to play it because I knew that I wouldn't get a match by the time I got there. I found out that he was unbelievably underwhelming to the point of unplayable due to the sound problems. And speaking of which, I noticed this, especially when I was watching someone called True Talent, and I only noticed this when he pointed it out. And I was wondering, how the fuck am I losing these survivors so easily? I'm a killer main, by the way. I can't fucking hear them run at all. And even True Talent points this out. And when I listen to all the replays compared to the previous builds before the hook bug, which still exists. Basically, after you've hooked someone, the sound of the entity forming around the hook, that little organic bloody like sound, gore
yeah,
sound.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it constantly plays on the hook even after they're gone. When you hook them back on, sometimes it overlaps with the existing one, so it's the same sound playing 1, 2, or 3 times. More if you actually decide to somehow hook all the survivors on their second hook, but not their last hook, causing the hook to break. Unless you got Hangman's trick, for which the hook will just be right back. And, dear God, they are fully aware of this too, and they better fucking fix it. And they're taking their sweet-ass time. Again, a fucking survivor can sprint right next to you. You can't hear them.
So obviously, something that they've done recently has screwed with the audio, and now the killers are, I feel like more of a disadvantage than they were previously, because I've not played the game, but I've seen enough gameplay footage to know how it works in the basic sense. The fact that, the survivors are basically in third person, while the killer is always in first person, so you've got
not just in first person, but Fallout 4 first person, if you know what I mean.
So very limited field of view, basically.
yes, there's a perk to widen it to a decent range, but that takes up a whole goddamn perk slot when you can put something else. The only reason why it's a necessity now is because there's no goddamn sound with the footsteps. And funny enough, looking at this gif of Gallus getting pissed at Smolder for burning this book, look at him.
Yeah.
This is me, pissed off. Thanks a lot, Smolder.
And then this mod is just like,
But anyways,
behavior going, yeah, we screwed it up, but we don't care.
oh, am I breaking up?
No, you're fine. Just so long as you don't start
On my
downloading
side.
something.
Anyway, but as if that weren't bad enough, the exact opposite happens with the survivors. The killer's footsteps is more noticeable, even for the stealthed fucking killers. Ghostface was the prime example of that. When he's stealth, he makes a loud, distorted sound. I'm sorry, so being loud is stealth?
I honestly would have said Ghostface probably would have, if they're doing it based on the fact that Ghostface has to be stealthed, and then like when the survivor sees him, that breaks the stealth. I honestly would have said that so long as Ghostface sees them, that it actually makes the survivor's run speed lower. So that way the survivors actually got to do more about breaking line of sight to actually get speed back in order to be able to,
That's called
escape him.
hindrance, and unfortunately, that wouldn't be nearly enough. And it wouldn't be fun either. Oh my goodness, there was a lot of potential here, but it just seems like they didn't even have a clue as to how it would play out at this point. It just seems that they don't know how their previous experience with their other killers have gone. So it's like a whole nother team just designed this killer and had no idea how poorly it would play.
I think we did a
Because
pretty
remember the
good
whole
job so far.
yeah.
I may not play the
What are
game, but
little
I know
tweaks
that
you can-
meme.
And a lot of little tweaks they could easily do to fix this. Like, for example, to balance it because of the fact that, well, of course, the survivors have a big fucking camera that orbits around them. I can understand they can't put, like, a little searchlight-like little thing for them so that the killer knows where they're looking because they can use that as a tracking thing. But how about this? Two different little warnings. The killer gets notified when he's being looked at, but he doesn't get breaked out of concealment unless this happens. If the survivor's head can see the killer's head. So if they're hiding around a corner and they see you with the camera, the killer knows that you're looking, but it's not going to break them out of concealment unless your head is poking out. That way, the killer can see you if you can see him or her. Simple. Just a little strip. They've done this when they fixed the killer's hitbox with the flashlights. Who's to say they can't design a simple little strip that checks for line of sight between heads? We'll see when they do it because so many good suggestions, so many things here and there, arguable, debatable here or there, and they do something completely different. It's the same with Warframe when people try to come up with Warframes. Maybe the concept might be taken, but it's going to be applied on a Warframe that is totally nothing like it because they. Oh, I'm not gonna dig my hole on that one.
Speaking of Warframe, I'm assuming you've seen the trailer for the Railjack announcements that they're going to be doing for TennoCon.
Yep, my clan better get ready to start getting all those resources and starting to craft the hangar bay so we can have that ship.
And even better yet, tune in for the Twitch stream, free Necros Prime.
Which I already have.
Yeah, but I don't, so that's great for me. It was basically how I got Ash Prime, so
That's a lot of ash.
I haven't even used regular Ash yet because I was just like, I was trying to focus more on getting over.
Yeah, good luck getting him. Only one enemy drops his blueprints, and he rarely spawns. I just realized that I got a cosmetic that requires his systems. I've got all but his systems, and I realized if I haven't accidentally collected the full thing, how bad is it going to be for me to collect them now? Wait, what about those shadow guys that spawn on Tau Regor's thing? And then I look in the wiki. They are a special kind that specifically do not drop it. Where else do they spawn? They spawn on any Grineer map. when they want to.
When they
And it's
feel
just
like
one
it.
every hour, or maybe never. The most common, unfortunately, is when you do uh shit, what's it called? Defection,
Hmm.
where you help the Kavor Grineers to defect and run free. Every
Hmm.
now and then, Sargus Rock will send a Manic to take them out. So that's the best way to do it, but nobody plays that.
Because
So
everybody bloody hates it.
mm-hmm, and they have every right to. Anyway, speaking of Warframe, I thought it was just me and my servers, but PC Warframe's chat server was down for almost a whole 24 hours.
Hmm. They must have been
It
doing
was,
something.
yeah, I have never seen this before. The whole chat service was down. I checked and I realized, oh, it's not just me. The whole chat server's gone on PC for some reason. Which sucked because there was this part where we were doing the defection because it was part of a sortie, and there was a limbo, and he kept casting that bubble that puts things in the rift, and it does it to the Kavor, which also means they can't interact with things, which also by extension means they can't get the healing from the pod. He single-handedly made us fail, and we couldn't tell him because the chat server was down.
The catch-22. You can't tell somebody to stop doing something because something else doesn't work. Or is that... No, that's not a catch-22, is it?
This is the first time I've ever seen the Warframe chat service down, but dear God, of all times for it to go down, the one time when a teammate could actually fuck us over because of a specific Warframe in a specific scenario that was actually anti-team synergy, my God, worst timing ever.
Limbo is really one of those Warframes where I'm starting to think, what were they thinking when they made that Warframe? Because he just doesn't work with any kind of synergy. He doesn't provide
He really
anything
actually does work.
beneficial.
It's just one of those few moments where he really doesn't. It's just that remember, you can't interact. What's worse, he can also interrupt you from interacting if you're hacking into something and he decides to cast you into the rift or cast that bubble. You'll be forced out. Thankfully, at least from my experience, it doesn't cause the alarms to trigger. And anyway, the benefits of being in the rift, at least aside from those outside cannot harm you, you passively gain a lot of energy as you're in there.
Hmm.
But remember, there was a time where he could cast you in the rift, and you just had to wait for it to end.
I
There was
know, I
nothing you could
remember
do.
that. That was annoying. It wasn't until I figured out that you could dodge roll and it would remove you. But a lot of the times, the only time that I know that Limbo is of any use is during the uh Orbis Valis Fisher missions when that's active. Because all you
Yeah.
basically do is just stick Limbo over the top, cast the Cataclysm bubble, and activate stasis. And anything that tries to come towards you to destroy the canister just immediately gets frozen. So you're basically keeping everything off that canister.
And again, remember, there was a time where not even dodge rolling was a thing to force it to cancel out.
I know. I said that's why I found that bit annoying. So yeah. Oh, going back to Dead by Daylight. Found out that they're releasing a Nintendo Switch version of it. So
Yep.
yeah, minor thing on that, which I thought was interesting. I know you don't own a Nintendo Switch, but I was just thinking, that's neat.
My nephew does. I'll only own a Nintendo Switch if he decides to abandon that thing. Cause my mom got it for him, and he was all like, "No, I don't want it. We know you want it. We know you will." And mom was actually a little bit worried there, and I said, "Mom, don't worry. If he doesn't want it, if he really ends up not wanting it in the end, I'll take it off his hands." Because
No,
although I
unfortunately, I'm not that lucky. I would have to go and buy my own version, which I can't do at the moment, especially considering I'm trying to save up for VR stuff. So that one's going to have to be put on the wish list like way, way ahead of getting 3D models and fursuits.
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 When VR equipment is cheaper than fursuits.
But then again, that's
I
think
know.
about what
I know.
fursuits are actually made of, and the person that's having to make them, and
Speaking of which, eventually my mother is going to be taking me to this place she used to go to get sewing material. We're going to see if we can make the Ghostface robe. We're going to go and see if we can get the materials before we decide to buy the actual costume, which isn't movie accurate because it wasn't used in the movie. Only the mask was. They made their own version and it became its own thing. Just like how again, I can't remember what the name of the mask was, but it was used for V for Veteran, which soon became popular and became the anonymous mask. And also, speaking of over here, I have a question.
yeah.
Are there any weird type of nicknames or slang terms for something from either my country or your country you wish to share?
Not that I can think of. Other than the fact that we said when we're talking about money, instead of saying pound, we sometimes say quid.
Oh,
That's about the only one I can think of off the top of my head.
Forget about quitting it. Let's go to Quidditch.
Let's not talk about
I'm sorry. Again, I've talked with my
let's
dad
not
today.
talk about Harry Potter. As far as I'm concerned, it's just like, series, you're over. Please die now. Stop trying to Warner Brothers, stop trying to milk the franchise. All right, it's
Wait, they're trying to
done.
milk it. What's been happening?
Oh, it's just, at this point in time, I really feel like J.K. Rowling is. I don't. And then again, is it Rowling or Rowling? I've heard it pronounced both ways, and I have absolutely no idea which is the correct one. But the matter of the fact is that J.K. keeps retconning stuff in the original books, like saying, "Oh, so and so was actually gay," or there wasn't any
Yeah, I remember you
suggestions to
mentioning
say
this.
there wasn't anything to suggest that Hermione wasn't black, and it's just like, my God, just stop. The series is over. There is nothing else you can add to this. Move on. Write a new book.
Yeah, forget about read a book. Write a book for Pete's sake.
Yep.
But here's again, even to everyday items, like for example, do you have any nicknames for umbrellas?
Brollies.
Yep, that's us too.
I'm pretty sure that's standard even in America. I think.
Really?
I don't know. Do Americans call umbrellas brollies? Or is it just us?
Probably us, because again, we're descendants from where you're from.
True, but so are Americans technically, because they left England to go to the quote unquote new world, and well, you know what happened there, because history.
Do you have the
I
same
still find
nickname
it kind of ironic that they celebrate Thanksgiving, which was the whole idea of the Native Americans helping them out during their time of need, and then they go and nick all their land like a few generations later. It's like, okay.
Some old habits never die.
I mean, we could also sit here and talk about gun control, but I don't think that's something we should really go into, because plenty of other people talk about that, and well, your country did that whole thing with yeah, we're banning these weapons now. The moment one shooting happens.
My country?
Yeah. Oh no, sorry, that was New Zealand. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
They're in the same area, but they're two completely different countries.
I don't remember who said it, and I don't know the specifics, but someone said that when they said when I moved to Australia, I said, "Really? Why?" And they mentioned a few other different things, and he even mentioned this thing I didn't think about. Also, you guys have better, stricter gun control.
Yeah.
I don't remember what he said by that, but I think it's something to I forget. By stricter gun control, is it like stricter gun control via licenses and whatnot?
I think that's basically what it means. It's that you have to actually have a license to say, I am legally able to own a gun, as opposed to America where it's just you walk in and go, I'd like to have a gun, please, and they just give you one.
Is that a stereotype or is that actually a thing?
I'm fairly certain that is a thing. You can buy weapons very freely over there. I think there's a limit to what kinds of weapons you can buy. I think it's like, handguns, rifles, and certain
And again,
types of
I actually
weapons.
still have never handled a handgun. Rifles, shotguns, you name it. Hell, even well, it was an airsoft one, but a type of a little submachine gun, but never a handgun. Again, I've only held a handgun, my dad's gun, but his sidearm from when he is on duty, but I've never fired one. So I don't know. Now I'm curious. So, uh, no. I keep thinking of reapplying for that gun club, but I don't remember them ever using handguns, only rifles. And it's because of that gun club I was with, I became a very good shot, at least decent enough to almost never miss those little ducks at the air rifle ranges at those carnivals.
Mm-hmm.
I usually always end up winning at least four in a row, or at least four eventually. So I have four glass cups to bring home because they're the only things I can think are worth getting. And even then, I could buy a better set from an actual store. I know that, but still, carnival. Am I gonna go on a bunch of rides, maybe go get sick, but mom or dad isn't here and they can't join me, or am I just gonna just pick up a little rifle and just shoot a few little ducks, hear that clink, and just hold a gun? So I guess I just held a gun.
Mm-hmm.
The only rides I tend to ever get convince my mom or dad, especially my dad, because he is not that much afraid of the heights that much as he's claustrophobic. But the only rides I can ever convince them to get on with me is the little Ferris wheels.
Yeah, I'm not that much of a thrill seeker either, so, you know, for me, it's just I find the rides that I prefer the more sort of interactive rides, where you're actually doing something rather than just sitting there going, I'm trying not to be sick, I'm trying not to be sick, I'm trying not to be sick. Whoops, sorry, person sitting next to me, the centrifugal force of my sick just hit you in the face.
That's exactly what happened to my goddamn nephew when he tried this. It looks like a little speed train, but it's like a loop de loop goes around in a circle. It's not on a right. It's not on a like a track. It's more like a arm that swings around.
Oh, I think I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, he went on one of those and puked.
Mm-hmm. I think the
Ugh.
thing with me is just that I just have a very bad sense of balance, so being thrown around like that is just yeah. I don't mind roller coasters where it's like, it's just basic up and down, tight corner kind of thing, but it's when you start doing the whole corkscrews and loop the loops things that I'm just like, yeah, I
Oh
don't
God, I'll
like
never
those.
forget when me and my mom and we went on a roundy round. It looked like a oh, shit. What are the name of those? It's like a merry-go-round or something. It's like the teacup things where it spins around and the other side spins
Yeah,
around.
most people just refer to them as a teacup ride, so.
Yeah, we went on one where it's not a teacup ride, but it's a seat, and again, it spins around while the four seats are on a little
Oh,
thing
wait, so
spinning
the
off
seat spins while the other thing spins, but it's not a
the
teacup
whole
ride.
thing. Yeah, if it's not the
Yeah, I,
teacup
I
ride,
know
it's
which
the
ones
whole
you're
one.
talking about.
We went on one expecting that, but we did not realize that it also goes up and down. We were screaming. I was going, "Oh shit! I didn't know this thing goes up and down." It was so funny. My mom was all like, "Oh shit, hon! Why didn't you say this? I didn't know, mom." It goes, "Don't metal murder you! I'll
What?
bloody murder you!" That's what my mom started yelling when we started going up and down and realized that there was more to this ride than. And again, my mom shouldn't be on rides like that. We didn't know it was going to go up and down.
Well, maybe you should have sat there and watched it first and been like, oh, that ride goes up and down. Yes, maybe not go on that ride.
I wasn't the one that insisted. My fucking nephew did, and he would not wait.
Your nephew is incredibly impatient.
He's a fucking kid. What do you expect? And don't forget about that video I showed you. I'm pretty sure you have an idea as to his
Yeah,
attention span and attention seeking and, well, just his hyperactive attitude when he has an audience.
I can kind
Ugh.
of understand that, but that's why I'm not really a fan of younger kids like that. And even when I look back and everyone's just like, "Oh, well, you probably acted like that yourself as well," I look back at them and go, "Yeah, I think I was an idiot back then." You
And I
know,
say why
I'm not
my
trying
big
to,
brother punched me in the gut several times.
I'm not trying to excuse what I did back then. I'm just like, yeah, I was an idiot.
I get it. Yeah.
I get it. I was obsessed with Sonic back then. You know, so what? We were all obsessed with one thing or another. Even in adulthood, many of us are obsessed with many things. But you know, tastes change and all that.
Yep.
Anyway,
Like how I was obsessed with dragons. Oh, wait. I still am.
you still are. Anyway, can I talk about a couple of things now? Because I wanted to talk about. Really, it was just
Yay!
more like a
New
couple.
Mr. Thinks' topics!
It's really just something that just happened while I was going out Monday on shopping, while I was going food shopping. It was just like, there were just a couple of like minor things. I was just like, you know what, these would make great talking topics because it's just something in life. Because, well, here's the thing. I was going out on Monday to, you know, do my usual food shopping thing. But the thing was, it was raining. At first, it wasn't raining that hard. You know, it was like it was heavy
Currently
enough that
raining
if you
here
stood.
right now, just FYI.
Is it raining very, very hard?
It was, but not as hard anymore, but it's still raining right now.
Yeah,
Continue.
it was like that sort of. It was raining enough that you would get wet standing out there, but not like absolutely soaked. And as I was walking to the shops, I was sitting there thinking, you know what? I really wish the weather would just change based on what I need to do at that moment. And then I could just. And then I was thinking, yeah, but then there would be other people who would be sitting there thinking, oh, but I want it to rain. I'm okay with the rain. And then for some strange reason, I just imagined that every single person would just be walking around, and they just have their own little pocket of weather. You know, so like I would be walking along, and it would just be like beautiful sunshine and everything, and it wouldn't be raining at all. And then everywhere else, it would just be raining. And for some strange reason, and after that, I just thought, you know what, that kind of reminds me of one of the early MLP episodes where it was like second episode where Rainbow Dash punches a hole in the clouds to prevent Twilight from getting wet. That was the kind of thing. That's the kind of thing that you need to think about when you're sort of picturing that. But then after a while, I just thought, you know what? Even though I'm walking through the rain and I'm getting wet, after this is all over, after I'm done with my shopping, I'm gonna be at home where it's gonna be nice, warm, and dry. And if I'm soaked or anything, I can just dry off. You know, this is only a temporary thing. I don't really need to worry about it all that much. And that sort of started making me think. You know, that's kind of just how people need to see things in life. I know I should have been seeing that kind of thing like a few months ago, to be perfectly honest, with regards to something else which I'm inclined to stop banging on about because I'm pretty sure everybody's getting
Question,
tired of me talking about it. But you know,
question in regards to that. Do you ever pack a little mini brolly? Like one that's about the size of your hand that can unfold to a small brolly?
no, I just generally tend to wear a coat. I don't really bother with brollies because it's just one extra thing I've got to carry in my hand, and especially considering that I usually walk back with two very heavy bags of shopping. You know,
Point taken.
don't have the room to sort of carry it. But yeah, and then when I actually got to the shops, because the supermarket I go to is actually inside a massive shopping centre or shopping mall for you Americans who like to make everything really awkward. Seriously, just pick the same words as everybody else. Don't try and be different, okay? There's a reason why most people tend to call things the same thing. It's so that we don't get confused. Or more specifically, so that we don't confuse you. Or we try to confuse you.
You want confusing. We call everything chips over here.
So when I said I had chips for dinner, you don't know which
Then
one I'm talking about.
Well, I would know because I know what would be the appropriate type of chips to eat. Potato chips, as in like the French fries.
Hmm.
Well, if I were to say I had a snack on some chips, that would be implying that I had, little crispy chips from packets.
Or you could have just
Junk food.
or you could have just bought some from, I don't know, a McDonald's or something. I don't know where we were going with that one. But anyway, as I was sort of walking through to,
Sorry, I keep going silent. Every now and then Discord keeps freezing or doing that thing where I lose connection to you.
oh, I just thought it was just that you were sitting there waiting for me to say something, and I was sitting there waiting for you to say something. But
Funny thing, every time when this happens, my mouse blinks like it's resyncing with the computer.
if that happens in future, just keep talking. Chances are I'll probably be able to still hear you. And if not, I'll just be like, ooh, you cut out there for a second. But anyway,
Yeah. But
moving
yeah,
on.
I get what you mean. There's a lot of places where you can easily get some you know, hot chips from some places. In fact, question, in regards to chips, do you like potato cakes?
What?
You don't have potato cakes over there?
Unless we call them something else, no. We've got
Okay, hang on.
croquet potatoes, potato wedges, curly fries, French fries, crinkle
All right,
fries,
hold
straight
on.
fry.
I'm going to send you an image of potato cakes.
These better not be potato knishes or anything.
No, it's just potato cakes. Who the hell is this? That is not a potato cake. This is someone named something similar. Hold on a second.
This is it's probably like a YouTuber or something. Somebody on
There's a
YouTube
potato
or
cake.
some kind of social media has probably taken the name potato cakes, and that's a thing.
Okay, okay. I think I got it. Um, these are some oddly ones. Let me try and find the ones that. That's chicken. That's not a potato.
Well, anyway, while you're looking for that, let me continue on with my story. Let me continue on. Let me continue my tale.
I'll have to cut you short there because I just found it.
Oh, for God's sakes, will you make up your mind and hurry up and find stuff in future?
Well, don't monologue that you need to talk about something that takes forever. And meanwhile, while I'm talking about this, I'm already uploading the image to you. Multitask! This isn't exactly what mine would look like without the dressing. They're not usually this crispy and blackened to the sides. They're usually just on the golden side. But yeah, it's basically a huge flat chip. There's potato, and then there's the crispy outside.
No,
So it's called a
I don't
potato
think I've
cake.
ever had those before. They don't look anything. I mean, they kind of look like some sort of like meat patty cake thing with breadcrumbs over the top, but never seen anything like that before.
Yeah, no, it's actually just a big flat chip. It's like say if you have like chicken or something in the shape of a burger for a burger,
Hmm.
or in this case, it's just a potato. Hell, you can even have them at Macca's, and they're kind of in an oval shape, and they're called hash browns.
Well, yeah, if they're hash browns, yes, then we definitely have those over here.
I don't remember what the differences are, but at least the potato cakes that I usually have around these stores, um, well, they're not very foamy on the inside. They are here and there, but mostly there's at least a little bit of solidness to at least to the point that it's altogether like one big chip.
Hmm.
Well, the hash browns, they seem to keep them really soft,
Yeah, that's
which is
probably
not a problem.
that's probably the difference. And I'm also guessing that hash browns are just done in a slightly different way as well. Um, but yeah, as I was walking through this supermarket to do my usual weekly shop, because this supermarket is part of a big shopping centre,
Pardon me.
they've recently added on this massive extension to it. It's like multi-million-pound extension thing, and I was walking past the newspaper rack and I noticed a headline that said two more restaurants dropped out of shopping centre extension. I was just thinking, oh, so that's why I haven't seen those restaurants up there, because the idea with this is that they've got a load of shops down on the lower level, but then they've got this upper level section where they're not only building the restaurants, but they've also got a new cinema going in up there as well. There's only one restaurant up there at the moment, and that's a Nando's. And I was constantly going up there and having a look around up there, thinking, weren't there supposed to be more restaurants going in up here or something? And then having read that article, it was just like, oh, so they've actually dropped out now. That's interesting. Although their reasoning for doing it is just like, oh, the food market or the eating out or restaurant market is like really, really tough at the moment. And I'm just sitting there thinking, they're not going to be thinking that in a couple of months when this new cinema opens up, because think about it. You're going to have people who are going to be either wanting to eat before or after they go and see a film. Currently,
Especially, yeah, because considering almost everybody around the earth knows or should know that cinema food is overly priced because the tickets don't make enough for them.
yes, because most of the time, and I actually found this out. I think it's like for the first weekend or two or something. For like 2 weeks after the film is launched, every profit they make on those tickets goes back to the studio that made it. So it isn't until like after that they actually start making profits on the ticket. So that's why they overprice everything to try and make up for that fact. Because I remember, I think it was the most recent Star Wars film. It wasn't the last. Was it the Last Jedi?
I don't know what it was. All I do remember is I didn't like it.
Yeah, I haven't actually
I
seen
did
it.
like the armor designs and the new AT-ATs and all these other different things, but story-wise and everything else, I didn't feel like I was watching Star Wars anymore.
Yeah. Well, to be perfectly honest, apparently there was this report, or I heard news that for that particular Star Wars film, they were like asking for a week or two more on ticket sales, because obviously the film was doing that badly, or the reception to it was so poor, or they were expecting it to be so poor, that they were having to ask for more money for over a set period of time. And I'm just like, yeah, well, that doesn't surprise me, to be perfectly honest, because they have quite literally... Disney have effectively just gutted Star Wars, basically. I don't care what you say or think about it, they have literally just taken Star Wars and just gone, ooh, we're going to do it our way, and it's going to make us tons of money. It's just like, no.
We've got two things butchering Star Wars right now. We got Disney gutting the movies. And we got EA gutting the games.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But yeah, going back to the whole restaurant thing, I'm sitting there thinking these companies are going to be kicking themselves in a couple of months once that cinema opens up, because, like I said, there are people going to be wanting food before or after they've had the film, and considering that this cinema is literally like an escalator over the other side where the current Nando's is, it's so convenient. Although I did also hear that there were two other sort of independently or sort of locally owned companies. One, a chicken company or a chicken restaurant from Brighton is apparently planning on opening a restaurant, a sort of a second restaurant in this place. And for those of you who don't know where Brighton is, it's like near to where I am, so it's not that far away. And one of the restaurants that's currently open in the main precinct, that's been there for like years, they're apparently planning on opening a sports bar there. So I'm thinking, these guys are obviously, despite what's going on, are taking advantage of this. All these other companies are dropping out, going, oh, the costs and everything, and the current climate of restaurants and things. I'm just thinking, no, they're going to be trying to squeeze themselves in at some point when once that cinema opens up. So even though the Nando's there does tend to be a bit quiet at times when I walk past, I'm sitting there thinking they've probably worked out that they're just going to have to settle with making maybe a loss for a couple of months, just until the cinema opens up, and then people are going to be quite literally trying to pile into that place just to get a quick meal before they go and see a film, or get a meal after they've seen the film. I mean, the place was quite busy when it first opened up, because everyone was just like, "Oh, Nando's, we want to go there." They were queuing out the bloody door to get in. But since then, it's like quietened down, and yeah, I just see that they will certainly pick up on business once the cinema opens up. But
here's hoping.
Yeah, here's hoping. I've never actually been in a Nando's before. I've never eaten in one. So,
apparently your nan has, because your nan knows. I'm sorry.
That
I've been
you're
again. I've been to my dad.
Your puns are just absolutely terrible.
They're intentionally terrible. Those are the best
Those are
puns.
what is known as dad jokes, and they really
And I've been talking to my dad, so what the fuck do you think I'm doing?
don't repeat them because you know they're awful.
But I love seeing the reactions, especially my big brother. And he, again, once when I did this at the table, ring,
Ring, ring, ring, ring. No, go away. It's probably just another Indian call center anyway.
And my big brother was all like, he takes after his dad.
Fucking phone. Yeah, I picked up
Picking
the
up
phone. I
again.
picked up the phone, looked at the number, and just went, "No, don't recognise it. That is probably an Indian call centre." And the annoying thing with that phone is that it won't let me hang up the phone until I answer it, then hang up again. So I've been getting calls like that so much recently. It's actually starting to kind of piss me off. It's just like, no, I don't want what you're selling from me. And most of these people aren't even legitimate. Like, take for example, the other day, an Indian person named Dave, he called up and said, "Hello, sir, I am calling from Microsoft," and I immediately knew that wasn't true. Like, when does fucking Microsoft ever call anybody?
Yep.
It's just these Indian people. Do you even research the companies that you're pretending to be? They don't randomly just call you up
just
like
given
that.
a script and they get paid to do these calls. I can't remember much about the documentary when it came to those telemarketers, but look up some documentaries about it and you'll understand pretty much the position they've been put in.
But the
You'll
thing is,
understand it's just
half of
business.
these companies aren't even legit. They're just trying to steal your details.
Like I said, telemarket it and it's all business. But uh if I could go back to the topic of Star Wars and all that, funny enough, I mentioned again, Disney is gutting the movies and EA is gutting the games. And there was a time I would say this is why I prefer Mass Effect, at least the universe. I feel like it's a little bit more fun for me, at least something here and there. And aside from the Asari, there's barely any of those obviously human with just color makeup just to make them look alien. The Asari were the only exception because they did want to have an that classic alien race that looked like human, but just with a few alien parts, like a weird hair and whatnot. But funny enough, the franchise gutted itself. So
Exactly. It was
how
just
can I
like,
talk ill? How can I talk ill about a franchise that existed for so many for so many decades? And god damn it, the one that I preferred gutted itself before it was even a decade old.
yeah, like three. Have three different coloured endings. Andromeda. Let's completely screw over the facial software and also just start shoving in a load of social politics. It's just like, no, go away. Well, then again, I say social politics. It's more like social propaganda at this point. I know there's a bit of a touchy subject for some people, but seriously, it's not trying. You're not trying to change anything. You are just trying to force your ideals on people.
Hey,
Don't.
on my bright side, when it came to seeing Andromeda, hey, I get to see what a female Krogan looks like without the whole hood and everything.
Any different?
They look kind again. I can clearly tell that they're different because the males have sort of kind of like those rhino dung beetles. They have sort of that little curve, like a tortoise's head that looks like it's just ready, like it's ready to it can use that to bash someone's skull in, and that's what they do. That's what the Krogans do.
Yeah.
But the females seem like they have a little less of that. They still have the head structure, but they have some smooth curves around this side here and there. They just seem a little bit softer, but they still have that physique. They still have that Krogan physique, where they look so strong and whatnot.
Basically,
And
kind of like how they
definitely,
do with the Char in Guild Wars 2.
yeah. Although with the Char, it was more like their the males' faces and even their tails were more akin to lions, while the females were more close to common domestic cats,
Hmm.
which I really liked because again, if all else fails, if you can't really distinguish the faces, just look at their tails. If it's fluffy, it's female. If it has a fluffy end, like a lion, it's a male.
And basically just look at the overall softness of their face, because the the male Char seem to be a bit more rugged than the females, and the females tend to have this sort of like more softer appearance to their features. I know where I was going with that. I just didn't know how to word it.
And for you furries or other people that really like seeing pretty stuff, definitely look up Guild Wars 2 female Char fashion, and you'll see some people have made some genuinely pretty Chars. And I remember seeing this image where there was it was when, again, I think I've talked about this before, and I've also noticed I say the word again quite a lot when I doubt myself, if I don't doubt my memory of recalling this. But anyways, there was the wedding gown, and again, its appearance changes depending on what gender and race you're wearing it on.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen plenty. When that came out, there were so many female Chars wearing it with these light blue colors or other colors, and these little tiara-like looking things for the elementalists and whatnot. And they attached these wings, mostly the glassy, icy digital ones from the April Fool's one, the adventure box.
Mm-hmm.
And then they add this cosmetic thing to their ring, which causes their character to glow a color or glow bright. And they've pretty much made a very, very angel and beautiful looking Char. I mean, again, I think I've shown you a picture, newbie.
Probably, but I can't remember what it. All that I remember is that there was one instance where it was just a female child wearing the wedding dress. It's just, I feel pretty.
You disgrace me. Yeah. I faved that image because, again, it was going around everywhere, and I knew it was only a matter of time before someone made an image based off of that.
Speaking of the whole thing with the male and female childs at least looking slightly similar, I think that the reason why I was thinking a lot about those because there was another image going around where somebody was complaining about characters in games where you have like a feral race or something that's based off of animals, where you have the males looking very much like their animal counterparts except anthropomorphic, but then when you have the females, they're like really, really skinny humans with big boobs. And
I found the image, by the way.
yes,
this was
I
one
can
I
see
encountered.
it. That is a very, very pretty Char and very, very glowy as well.
Yep, so that's a cosmetic effect on a ring that causes the character to bloom more.
I didn't actually realise that was actually something you could stick on a ring.
I believe it is, because again, when you see a character glow, just left click on them and see if they have a permanent thing where it says like says it's the name of the effect and it says source ring or something, and you'll know that it's and if it has no timer, you know that that's the
I
visual
honestly thought it
cosmetic
was one of
effect.
those like costume things, or it was one of those disguise kits or something. It was just like you put it on and it just like makes you kind of like when you have the boxer funds where you like make a character change to a different hue or something. You make them red.
Oh god,
or...
yeah, the thing that puts these materials on, that was lots of fun. My goodness.
Apparently they've launched a new raid in Guild Wars 2, but I'm not really that interested in it because it's just like, yeah, I'm probably just going to get told I'm running the wrong spec or I'm geared incorrectly, so I'm just not going to bother. And besides, I can never find a big enough group that isn't filled with like a load of elitist jerks who, like I said, just sit there and tell me, oh, you're not running this particular spec, so you're not optimizing. This is why I want to make my own sort of sort of a VR MMO kind of thing, where it's just like you don't have to worry about specs too much. Anything if you want to.
But just put your body into it.
Yeah. And so long as you make it so that if you want to run minions, so long as you're technically weaker and the minions are, strong enough, then yeah, that counts. It's a viable build. But I get that. But I just know that there is going to be somebody out there who's going to min-max. So you have to do everything in your power to make sure that you create something where people can't min-max. But then again, I don't know whether that takes half the charm out of it. It's just one of those difficult... I mean, I personally hate min-maxers. They're just boring. They spend half... you can't run what you think is an interesting or quirky little build because, somebody somewhere is looking at that going, oh, that's not optimistic. That's not optimistic. Optimal. Or optimized.
Yeah.
Get right word. They'll go, oh, that's not optimized. You're supposed to be running this. You're supposed to be using this type of gear. You're supposed to be using this kind of weapon and these skills. It's just like, fuck off. I'm having fun. Why can't you let me have my fun? You're having yours by constantly min-maxing everything. Let me do my thing. Please. Thank you. Piss off.
Sometimes even the game developers don't let you have fun. Again, I can rant forever, and I still have never forgotten about my old Necros that I miss to this day.
But then, like you said, that was because they needed it for optimizing, so that they just didn't have so many things on screen at once.
Yet it's not that different when it comes to the amount of people that can be on the enemies that can be on the screen in a single map during survivals and whatnot. But still, it was done, and god damn it, I hate it when it's done by limit. You can buff them and make them one-shot anything. It won't matter to me because their AI is shit. They will take forever doing these animations where they run, take cover, aim, purposely miss a few times before artificially zeroing in, and then decide to reload early for effect. When in the meantime, everyone else is just nuking everything as they should.
Or maybe you should be nuking everything as you should.
Can't when you're the Necros!
Well, you still have a gun and a sword, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Oh well, I'm sure I'll find out soon enough what it's like to be a Necros when I tune in for that.
You'll
thing.
have fun. It's just that I was spoiled by the old Necros when I could have 20 minions if I built for it. Now I can build for power strength, but it won't give me a single extra minion past a measly 7.
Oh well, like I said, maybe one of these days when I finally get around to actually trying to find someone who could help me with this like VR MMO idea I've got. Well, it's not really an MMO. It's kind of like a pseudo MMO roguelike random thing, kind of like how Warframe does its maps, where everything is like
tile sets procedurally generated.
Tile sets procedurally generated, and that kind of thing.
Just please include two-handed weapons. I love two-handed weapons.
Yeah, they would have two-handed weapons. In fact, I've even got the idea that people can literally make a weapon out of fucking anything. You want to be a carpenter that can throw fucking chairs at people? Go ahead! You want to be a chef that throws roast chickens to people to heal them? Do it! If you want to be Megumin from Konosuba, who only knows one explosion spell, you can fucking do it!
Just do it!
I don't care, let your imagination go wild and make your own fucking classes. Don't let
your dreams be dreams.
Yes, exactly. I mean, I want an engineer that mostly focuses around gadgets, but I want multiple different types of gadgets. It's also kind of the reason why I like Turret Engineer in Guild Wars. Because, against certain particular... why are you linking me this image?
Because it's cute.
I know, I've already seen that. He's basically sent me one of the game over images from Changed. The one where you get caught by the shark guys.
It's adorable.
I know it's adorable, but I'm just kind of like, why did you send me that image?
We didn't have to talk about it. I just wanted to drop it in there to give you a smile. I could just drop this in instead.
What are you dropping in now? Oh god, what exactly?
The first time this episode aired. The first time
first time that one MLP episode, it's just like, for God's sakes, woman, stop looking at your son's ass.
Still though, that was a fun episode. That little stupid awkward moment where she looks at his cutie mark by lifting his robe, which is pretty much kind of like her lifting up to look at his ass.
Yeah.
Aside from that, she was a really funny character to listen to. And again, she had pretty good facial expressions. And like Sunburst, again, really like the white coating on her hooves. It's almost like she's wearing shoes or something, but that's just part of the coat. Again, there are plenty of equines with such patterns.
Hmm.
But anyways, that and again, I just love how Sunburst and Starlight's facial expressions and reactions to everything, like for example, when the "Welcome to Sire's Hollow" thing kept going off each time, and then when there was this one scene where Sunburst was just had this "I'm fucking done with this" expression while constantly opening and shutting it, and eventually his mom just steps and says, "Okay, it's annoying. I get it." Lots of moments like that. Uh, and I love the. You don't think the quest has to do with us and our parents, do you? And then the others in the background kind of represent us. That's what we all think. Why can't we just have been sent to stop a war or something? I love Starlight. Again, I love the dialogue, the reaction, the writing. I really loved that episode. But dear God, that one scene near the end, I knew what this was going to mean. Forget Button Mash's mom. Stellar Light was going to be the next goddamn film. God damn it.
And on that bombshell, I think we should end the podcast there. I'm pretty sure we've been going on for a decent amount of time. Again, I forgot to actually set a timer, but I have been looking at my clock going, yeah, seems about right, so...
Says this face.
Says that angry
You
Joe
Mister
face.
forgot to set our time again? Oh, this is new!
Anyway, is there anything very quick that you would like to add before we finish? Emphasis
Nope,
on
that's about-
quick.
Nope, that's pretty much it. I'm going to save the other thing I was going to probably perhaps talk about for another day.
Okay, then. So, yeah, that is the end of the podcast for today. So, thank you everybody for listening, watching, or doing whatever you do to consume this media.
But as always, but not this time, I will not steal the spotlight by saying the outro.
Okay, then.
Got you there.
Anyway, thank you everybody for watching or listening or whatever. And as always, Heavy Weapons Guy says...
Okay, enough. Just kidding.
Heavy Weapons Guy says...
Okay, enough.